I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to do that. All right, this is SSL Family Dad with Simple Sustainable Living, and as you saw there, it looks like we have a problem with the cooling system on the truck. It's overheating and leaking, and got all kinds of issues here. So I've looked over everything. It doesn't look like it's a problem with our hoses or radiator or anything else. It's coming right from the water pump itself, which is right at the front of the block there, so the engine block. And so unfortunately, it looks like we're gonna have to replace that. So if you're having similar issues with any Chevy truck, you know, this is an Avalanche 2004. This is pretty similar for even up to 2010, even newer. Any 1500, 2500 Chevy truck, this is gonna be a very similar process. So I also would recommend that you guys check out the pricing on parts on Amazon. I'll put links in the description to any specialized tools that I needed today, as well as the water pump, thermostat, and the Serpentine belt, which is what I would recommend doing all at once here with this job. So let's go ahead and dig in and see what we have to do here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is get the coolant drain. So if you look on the bottom left hand or passenger side corner of the radiator, there's a hose you can disconnect there and drain the coolant. This is a little easier than using the drain plug. And we also need to remove the intake air ducting. This is a couple worm gears, as well as the cover to the engine. I like to get that out of the way as well. And just finish up removing the air ducting there. Kind of covers the radiator hoses. There's a few clips you'll have to disconnect here as well that connects to those coolant hoses. Next, we're going to remove the clamps and remove the hose from the upper port on the water pump housing. And we can also remove that radiator hose from the top port of the radiator as well, and just get that right out of the way. Then we'll remove the air cowl that covers the fan, and there's a few, I think they're 10mm bolts there, as well as some of those plastic clips that will come out. And once you get all those removed, that cowl kind of wiggles right out of the way there. Now we're going to start removing the two lower radiator hoses. These connect the radiator to the water pump housing. There's also the two smaller ones that go to the heater core. Both of those can be taken off, and if you pinch those clamps down tightly, they actually will lock in the open position, so they'll be easier to remove. Alright, so with this part, we got to take the fan off here. And I actually had to buy this. This is a 15-inch adjustable wrench. I love new tools. This thing is just really nice, made in America. I like this especially because it has all the markings of the size on it, so I can actually use this to figure out what socket I need for other bolts. So I can measure it on here, and it'll tell you the US or metric size of whatever you're tightening. But I needed to get something big because the nut here is about, well, I'll tell you. So it looks like about 1 3/8 inches on the size there. Looks like about 30mm. I'm just going to give this a little tap to break it loose here. You know, I never mind buying tools like this, even though this was not a cheap one. I could have run up to the hardware store and bought, you know, some made in China junk. But you know, this type of stuff, as long as you don't lose it, you'll have it for your life. And I'll need this for, especially we got a tractor and other things. You know, I'm gonna need stuff like this. So, as always, I'll put a link in the description to this. I got it on Amazon. That's where I order pretty much everything. So. You guys can check this stuff out if you're interested. Next thing we're gonna do here is get the belt off. All right, you can use a wrench here or a socket wrench, whatever you want to use. It looks like about 15 millimeter to move your tensioner out of the way and get the belt off. Now I'm going to be replacing this belt at the same time, so I ordered a new Serpentine belt when I bought the water pump. One thing you want to do is obviously take a picture, take note of the routing here. There's also a routing diagram on the cowl of the or the hood plastic guard here, whatever, on the front. So, and it should also be in the user or owner's manual, which hopefully you still have. Now we're getting close to the water pump housing. We're going to take off that idler pulley. There's a couple bolts holding that on. Just gets that out of the way. And then we can take off the hose adapter that covers the thermostat, and that pops out, and the thermostat should be seated inside that also. And I'm also going to be replacing that at this time. Now we can take out all the bolts that hold the actual water pump housing in place. I believe these were 10 millimeter also. And that should pull right off. You want to clean this up real good, make sure that the surfaces where all the gaskets are going to seat are nice and free of any debris or old gaskets or anything like that. And the new water pump comes with all new gaskets, so you want to make sure those are put in place. And it's usually easiest to put a bolt through to hold those straight. And put the water pump back on. Once you get one or two of the bolts started, it's pretty easy to find the holes for the rest of those, and I tightened it in kind of a star pattern and make sure it's nice and firmly secured to the engine block there. And as I said, I'm replacing the thermostat as well since I have everything apart, so popped out the old one, cleaned up the surface there for the gaskets, used a little bit of really fine sandpaper just to lightly sand that, make sure we got a nice flat surface there for those gaskets to seal. And the new thermostat just pops right back into place. Then we can go ahead and secure that thermostat housing back on. And we'll get our tensioner pulley put back on in place here. And then we're going to get our Serpentine belt rerouted according to how it was before or using the diagram. And we can start reconnecting all of our hoses here. And I found it's best to try to get those hose clamps right back in the same position they were before. It seems to help it seal the best. And we're going to get our fan put back on and use a hammer again to tighten that nut. There's a little bit of shock there to make sure that nut gets tightened on there real good. Get the top fan cowl put back in place with those bolts and those little plastic clips. Next, we can get the upper radiator hose put back on and connected to the water pump housing, as well as the upper connection on the radiator there. And that also has a clip, I believe, that attaches it to that fan cowl as well. Replace our air ducting there. the engine cover back on. And I don't know if it was necessary to take that out, but it's nice to get things out of the way. So once everything was done and connected back together, I went ahead and did a 50-50 mix. I just filled right into the overflow as well as into the radiator there, and I didn't fill it up all the way. I just filled it with about 2 gallons, and then we're going to start the engine and see if we have any leaks. Looks like nothing is leaking, and all of our serpentine belts and everything are idle in the way they're supposed to. Alright, so not a bad job to do. It's a lot easier on these bigger trucks to do a water pump or any engine repairs. You've got a lot of extra room under the hood, which is nice. So way easier than the Chevy Traverse we have. I did the water pump on that. I'll put a link to that video. Man, is that a hard thing to do. It's almost easier to pull the engine out to get to it. But pretty easy repair on this, on the Avalanche here. If you guys have any questions or comments about anything, if you're in the middle of doing this repair, I do try to respond to those comments, so go ahead and throw them down below. As always, guys, if they found the video informational or helpful at all, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to follow along, we have all kinds of DIY stuff that we do around here on the SSL Family Farm. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that little bell next to subscribe as well. That gives you alerts when we release new videos. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.